Welcome back to the Free Code Camp podcast. I'm Quincy Larson, teacher and founder of Free Code Camp, and each week we talk with developers, entrepreneurs, and ambitious people who are getting into tech. Today, I'm joined by Beau Carnes. He is a software engineer, he is a teacher, and he oversees the Free Code Camp YouTube channel. He's joining us from Grand Rapids, Michigan, USA. So, welcome, Beau.
Hey, Quincy. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you here. And since this is our first video podcast, I created a very quick theme song for the Free Code Camp podcast, which I am going to attempt to play right now. Free Code Camp, the Free Code Camp podcast with Quincy Larson. All right.
Nice.
So let me turn off my amp there. And we're going to dive into the interview. So, of course, Beau, you've worked with freeCodeCamp for like 5 years or something like that.
Yep.
So you and I have so much shared context. We've talked hundreds of hours probably, but we're going to attempt to like dive deeper into your background. Maybe we can start off by talking about your childhood and like where you grew up.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in Michigan, in Portage, Michigan. It's just about an hour away from where I'm living now. And one thing that kind of, there's a few things that actually relate to what I'm doing now, which is my dad got me a QBasic book when I think I was in maybe middle school, or I can't even remember exactly how old I was. And then I would do it, like, I think it was called GW Basic on my computer. And it was basically just for fun. I never even really thought about it as a job at that time. And then in high school, I was actually in a video production class, and that actually got me into doing video. But like at the time, I had no idea what was coming, what I was going to be doing later in life. But just looking back on those two experiences actually impacted me a lot as far as my direction and where I'm at now.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I didn't realize that you grew up in Michigan. There's this like general kind of rule that like most people live within 4 hours of where their mom lives, at least in America. That's like Americans will move up to 4 hours away from their mom. And that's like the farthest they'll generally move. And that's true for me. I live in Dallas, Texas. And of course I grew up in Oklahoma City, which is slightly less than 4 hours drive away. So I think it's interesting that you grew up just an hour away from where you ultimately settled and bought your home and started your family. So that's really cool. Yeah. And speaking of family, you've got a pretty big family. You've got several kids, 3 kids, right?
I have 3 kids. My oldest is 11. My youngest is 6.5. And they're all boys. They're very energetic. And that's one of my favorite things to do is just to hang out with my kids.
Yeah. So family man, Beau Carnes. Well, I want to dive into, of course, we can learn a lot more about your interesting personal life, but I think for people that have watched the freeCodeCamp YouTube channel, you've probably seen Beau doing the introductions for most of the video courses that we publish. And Beau himself, you probably taught, I don't know, at least a dozen different courses, maybe 2 dozen on different WordPress concepts, MongoDB, lots of Python related courses. You taught like the very popular JavaScript course that's on freeCodeCamp. I was surprised to learn that you actually have a formal educational background in video production. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that and what inspired you to go down that route.
Yeah, sure. I kind of talked a little bit about it when I took the video production class in high school, and that's actually my first degree. I got a bachelor's degree in video production at a traditional 4-year school in Michigan, and I actually worked in video production for a little while, and then I kind of decided I wanted a job where I was interacting with people more, making more of an impact, and I decided to go back to school for teaching. And I was an elementary school teacher, and I taught all the way up through high school. And I really enjoyed that for a little while. And I guess most teachers, I guess the average length is about 5 years that they're a teacher. And after about 5 years, I started thinking about some other things. I think I got a little bit burnt out on that, and I really like working with youth, but I wanted to do it kind of on the side and not as my full-time job. And that's what I kind of decided to pursue software development, where I never thought about it previously, but I had a little bit of experience when I was younger, like I was saying, and I got a degree in software development. And now I never really thought about this at the time, but now I realize I'm kind of combining all of those things, video production, teaching, and software, all when it comes to like teaching courses on YouTube.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine like a better type of job for you than running the freeCodeCamp community YouTube channel, because you do get to not only be a teacher, but you get to also work with other teachers, and at the same time you get to apply all your software engineering know-how from working as an engineer, and also from of course like going to this computer science program. Your computer science program was I guess non-traditional in the sense that it's an undergraduate degree program, but you were able to complete it very quickly and very inexpensively. And you did that through Western Governors University. Mm-hmm. And I've, in the show notes, the description below, I've linked to an article where you talk about essentially how you like completed the entire degree in about 6 months. Maybe you can give us some background and how you were able to do that.
Yeah, so one cool thing about Western Governors University is that you kind of can go at your own pace. So every class either has a final exam, which you usually take it like an exam center, or a final project that's graded by some graders. And if you pass the exam or pass the final project, you can pass the course. And you can basically work at your own pace. So if you want, you can go do it very, very quickly. And I already talked about how I was kind of burnt out on teaching. I was just very motivated to move on to something new. And that kind of gave me the motivation to basically go as quickly as possible through this degree. So I just really scheduled out my day, where I had a very strict schedule of when I was going to work on my coursework, and I was able to stick to that schedule really well. And I had very distinct goals, like I'm going to pass this class by this date, this class by this date, and I would kind of rearrange, like if I felt like, oh, I'm not going to meet my goal, then I would either maybe stay up later, maybe not do something with friends, or there were actually a few times where I took a day off of work as a teacher just so I could meet my goal to pass the class by a certain deadline. So I just like got through it super quick, and you pay for every 6 months. So I only had to pay for one 6-month period because I was able to get through it so quickly. It did help. I did have some classes transfer in, and I did have, I guess, a little bit of prior knowledge in programming, so that kind of helped a little bit too.
Yeah, and my understanding is one of the reasons you were doing this was because as a teacher, you had student loan debt forgiveness after a certain amount of service as a teacher.
Yeah. Quite enough student loans. So if I really want to take advantage of this, I should actually get some more student loans so I can get them forgiven. And the truth is, I don't know for sure if I would have ever done the degree in software development if I didn't have that motivating me. At first, I was actually thinking about doing a master's in mathematics. I thought that would actually kind of go along with what I was already doing. Maybe it would open up to teach at a community college. But I ended up switching to software development, and I'm really glad I did, because I've been really enjoying my current role.
Yeah. Wow. So essentially, you kind of got a free accredited computer science degree in 6 months because it was money that you didn't ultimately have to spend out of pocket, because it was already on the I guess chopping block for getting reimbursed essentially by the government.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's very resourceful, and I think that like hints to the general resourcefulness of Beau Carnes in general. Like, you're an extremely like scrappy, make do with little type guy, and that's always kind of like impressed me about you. I've really enjoyed like reading about you in like the newspaper, for example. Like, I think what city were you living in where you were able to like move into like an old home and like fix it up, and I know that I read about it in like a local newspaper because I was like Googling you at one point.
Yeah. So we used to live in Saginaw, and in both Saginaw and Grand Rapids, we did kind of choose to live in kind of a lower income neighborhood, and both places I've kind of gotten involved with a local community center. Like in Grand Rapids, I'm on the board of directors of this local community center that's doing a lot of work with the youth in the neighborhood. I try to volunteer there. So I guess I just have a desire to use my time to kind of give back to others, especially youth. And there was an article, and when we lived in Saginaw, the news back when there was a printed newspaper, well, we had an article in the printed newspaper about what we were doing in Saginaw.
Yeah, well, your desire to continue to teach, of course, comes through in the YouTube channel. But my understanding is you also run a. My daughter's like scowling at me. She's scowling. Take my phone. Here, you want my phone? All right. Here, I'll just leave it here. She loves to take it and then watch Zelda Tears of the Kingdom related videos.
I've been playing with that with my kids right now. We always have like a family game that we do with the kids, or something that we do like a few times a week, and we're doing Tears of the Kingdom right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard it's an amazing game, like a sandbox type game where you can
we just take turns playing. We all watch, and then we kind of take turns. Like the kids will play, then I'll play. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, and we did that with Breath of the Wild, but I just got so burnt on Zelda. I was just like, let me play anything else. So I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom at all, and it gives me like kind of like a nice, like they'll come in and say, Daddy, can you help me beat this boss? Like, I've never even played that game. It's like the get out of jail free card, so I can keep working while they play on their Switch. But one of the things that is really cool, because you seem to have this desire to help out in the community and also to teach kids, is that you're also still actively involved in robotics, in robotics club, and teaching youth about like programming and robotics through this. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So for quite a while, like back when I was in Saginaw, I started this before I even had kids of my own, actually, coaching a First Robotics team. So First Robotics is an organization that's basically all over the world, and they do local robotics competitions, and there's different levels. There's like elementary school level, middle school level, high school level, and so I've been coaching teams for quite a while now, including this year I coached a team. And so now I get to actually coach the team that my kids are on. So when I first started, I was coaching just only other people, kids from other families, which I still enjoyed. And now it's kind of my kids are old enough to be able to be on teams. And so it's something I really enjoy doing, where there's kind of different levels. This year it was the first Lego League, where we build a Lego robot, and then there's a 8-foot by 4-foot table with all these stations on it, and we have to program a robot to accomplish objectives at different stations. And then at the competition, all the schools have been basically preparing their robots to do the exact same objectives, and then we see at the competition who can score the most points by doing all the objectives on the table. And it's all autonomous. You have to pre-program the robot, so you can't really control it with a controller. And so it helps the kids learn programming. So I'm able to kind of use some of my programming skills and teaching skills to be able to teach the kids how to do some basic programming with the robots.
Yeah. I know you have a passion for robots in general. And in fact, you, in addition to being father of 3 and running the freeCodeCamp community YouTube channel, you have another channel, which is quite popular, called Robot Family. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the origin of that channel and what your goals are with it.
Yeah. So I have this channel called Robot Family. It's the target audience is families and basically a younger audience. And I primarily feature fun scripted stories with robot toys as characters. And I started it probably about 5 years ago. I just had a robot named Cosmo. It's just like a cool robot toy, and I had the idea. I wanted something fun to do with my kids, and I also wanted to see if I could eventually get companies to send our family free robots for our kids to use. and it's worked out exactly like that, exactly as planned. So I started this channel, and we started by doing, at first we were just like, I was buying robots and we were doing kind of unboxings and showing them. And pretty quickly, I was able to get companies to send us some robots for the channel. And then eventually, we kind of transitioned to we started, like, eventually we don't do unboxings anymore. We just do these fun scripted stories with the robots as characters. And the channel's continued to grow. It has over 250,000 subscribers now. And even this year, I'm kind of trying to bring it to the next level, basically, where I've been kind of sometimes inconsistent with the posting schedule, but I already have a goal this year to post one a year, and I'm just trying, or no, one video a month, one main video a month, and then maybe some other like minor less time intensive videos, whereas in the past sometimes it wasn't even that many videos. And so now I'm developing a better system where I'm now hiring people to write the videos and hiring people to edit the videos. So I just have to shoot the videos, and that allows me to kind of put out more content. It would be one thing if I was doing it full time, but since it's just like a side project, I don't have like all the time to kind of invest in. So I try to figure out how can I make my time like stretch more, where what can I do what things can I hire out so I can basically produce more content. So it's been going pretty well.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you're finding people to help you with that. Have you, being somebody who's interested in robotics and automation, have you made use of automation very much for running or any aspect of the production of that channel?
No, I think I haven't done a lot of automating things besides just like I said, trying to kind of get a good system for how I can have someone write it, have someone edit, and then it was hard to implement a system of having people help at first, because the way I was shooting the videos, it was very hard to have someone edit it based on how I was shooting the videos, because I had to remember all these things in my head. But then I realized I'm going to actually have to really change the system so it can be more efficient. So that's not really automating, but it's kind of related, where really thinking about the system in place that's going to make the process go smoother and easier.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I like to think of it as like you can delegate and you can automate, and like either of those two things can help you ultimately concentrate on whatever it is that you're kind of where you're adding the most value to whatever the output is.
I guess the thing that's closest to automating was I do use ChatGPT to help with the channel. Like ChatGPT will help me think of script ideas. I've even written a few videos with ChatGPT. I did one where we have a yearly tradition of a Christmas video where our kids are in. Our kids aren't in all the videos, but they are in some videos, and we have a yearly Christmas tradition where all the presents get stolen, and it's a mystery to see how to find the presents. So we just had our 4th annual, and this year I was kind of inspired by like the night before Christmas and these other poems, and I was like, what if the entire video was rhyming couplets? So I actually I got a script. I actually hired someone to write a script, and then I put it into ChatGPT and said, convert this to rhymes. so then it converted the script to all rhyming couplets. And then I had to do some tweaking to make some parts sound better. But I realized that's actually a good use out of ChatGPT to convert something into rhymes. And then the whole video is a rhyming video.
Very cool. Yeah, that's the first time I've heard of someone basically taking a script and turning it into a rhyming kind of poem. One of the interesting things about teaching as a discipline is that you yourself have to have really good mastery of the subject before you can really teach it. And in some ways, teaching further solidifies your own understanding of it. What have you really enjoyed the most about teaching and about preparing like instructional design, essentially video courses, and putting them out there?
Yeah, you're right that teaching can help you learn things, and that's actually how I learned JavaScript, kind of. I mean, I already kind of got, when I was first learning to code, I had already went through a lot of the free CodeCamp curriculum. That's actually the main way I learned JavaScript. But then I decided to start my own personal YouTube channel before I was involved with free CodeCamp, where I would teach little bits of JavaScript. It's called JS Nuggets. And every video is like a different JavaScript concept. And that's really how I really started to learn JavaScript. It was like I already kind of knew about it, but to actually teach it, I had to research and make sure I really understood it to be able to actually teach it to other people. And that's kind of continued as I work with the free CodeCamp channel and create courses. I definitely obviously have to know the content before I'm able to teach it. And so it's kind of a great motivator to learn new technologies and to learn new things. When I know I'm going to teach a course on this topic, so I have to kind of deep dive into the content, the topic. I have to kind of try it out myself and really kind of come to a good understanding before I could teach it to others. So that's one of the things I like about creating courses is just learning new things and solidifying my knowledge, and then just being able to help others by being able to kind of share what I've learned about that technology.
So in a way, the fact that the course has to come out is kind of like an extrinsic motivator for you to really understand things and make sure you're getting things right. Because when you publish a video course, it's not like publishing an article where somebody points it out and you can just go easily update it. It's pretty hard to update YouTube videos. YouTube is pretty unforgiving in terms of being able to do like in situ edits, right? Have you experienced a situation where you got something wrong on YouTube, and like, what did you do?
Well, that's definitely a motivator to, when you're learning something on your own and you're using it, and if you make a little mistake, nobody really knows you made that mistake. But if you're learning something to teach a course about it, and then you make the course, if you make a mistake, everyone knows that you made that mistake. So that kind of motivates you to make sure you have it right. But definitely I've still made mistakes. I've created courses that had errors in it, and then people, they're always quick to point them out in the comments. But I think it's kind of a growing experience, I mean, first of all, it is kind of embarrassing to put out there and do something wrong, but my goal is to kind of learn from everybody, and so I try to, if people are pointing that out, I try to kind of I try to internalize that and actually try to learn from, instead of getting defensive, I really try to learn. And then sometimes if it's on a video, I can either put on the description or a comment how to, like, what the mistake was. Or YouTube did kind of recently come out with a feature called corrections, where you can make it so a card pops up to say when there's a correction in the video.
Yeah, you can't actually change the video itself, although you could edit that section out completely, right?
Yeah, so YouTube does have a feature where you can remove sections of a video, but you can never add sections of a video.
Yeah. So, and even if you're doing this, I mean, let's say you publish something on freeCodeCamp, which has a lot of people watching it every day, and it's a multi-hour course, and you need to make some sort of edit where you remove something that is factually incorrect or something like that. It takes a while for that change to propagate through YouTube. In the meantime, it could be hours and hours, thousands of people watching something that is wrong, right? That happens sometimes.
Yeah. So if you remove a section with the YouTube editor, it can take a few hours before the new version shows up. And there have been times, I don't know if with any of my videos, but there have definitely been times where we've posted a course and a mistake, we'll realize a mistake, and then we take it down and republish it. And sometimes the mistake isn't from the course creator. Sometimes the mistake is on my end, where I made a mistake when I was putting the course together. Where some contributors to the freeCodeCamp channel just give me a video that's already ready to post, but then some contributors will give lots of little videos I have to edit together. Some courses that we publish require a lot more work on my end than others, and every once in a while I will do something wrong, and we'll have to take the course down and republish it. But luckily, it doesn't happen too often. But that's always an option, that we can remove a course and republish it. But we don't like to do that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about freeCodeCamp's YouTube channel that's a little bit unique on YouTube is the sheer size of the courses we're publishing. A lot of creators will publish like 20-minute videos, maybe even 1-hour video essays, but it's pretty rare that people are uploading a 8-hour course or something like that to YouTube. And over the years, you figured out lots of compression tricks to be able to upload larger and larger videos, to the extent that I think you uploaded a video that was more than 4 days long, a month or two ago, right? Like the AWS Bootcamp video course. Yeah, that was massive. And maybe you can talk a little bit about how you figure out ways to do this, because even YouTube, their engineers are kind of often asking, "Hey, how did you do that?" We've had lots of calls with like the VP of XYZ over at YouTube, who's trying to understand like how we're using it and how we're using it in such a different way from how most people are using YouTube as a distribution network.
Yeah, our channel definitely does things on YouTube that other channels aren't doing. And yeah, like you said, people from YouTube have kind of said that we're kind of an edge case for what we're doing. And especially when our channel first started, even less people were creating these long courses. I think now that the freeCodeCamp channel has shown how much people actually like that there's more and more channels posting long courses. And yeah, it does get tricky. I mean, for one, YouTube's official documentation says that the longest course possible is 12 hours. And that's just not true. They just, I don't know why it's still out there, but their help page, that's what it says. So sometimes you just have to try things to see if it works, even if the documentation says it's not going to work. And but one thing that is true is the file size limit. So I think it's 250 gigabytes, and so that's one of the biggest things that we have to work around, because like this 4-day course, as you can imagine, it's hard to fit that into a 250 gigabyte file. So really the biggest secret is the .webm format. I don't know this for sure, but I think that YouTube, that's like the .webm format, I think, is the main format YouTube uses internally. And it seems like the .webm format can compress things a lot more and still have pretty good quality. So especially when I'm creating any course that's like over 24 hours long, it takes me a long time to finally get that course up, because sometimes I'll have to export multiple files from my video editing software, because it cannot, my video editing software cannot export over 24 hours at a time. So, and then I'll have to use another like FFmpeg or something to combine those exports, and then I'll have to I usually use Handbrake to convert it to the .webm format. And then after all that's done, it takes up so much space. I mean, sometimes it can be up to like, sometimes it can get up to like a terabyte, of all these files, and then I'll finally get to upload the file to YouTube. And sometimes, like when we first published the CS50 course, which was like a pretty long
like
course.
25 hours long for the new one, the newest one, and it's in 4K.
Okay, yeah. So that was the biggest thing about the CS50 course is it was 4K. So not only was it a super long course, it was also 4K. And this newest one didn't take as long, but the first one we published that was also similar length, we published, I think, maybe 2 years ago. It took actually, I think, 4 to 5 weeks to process on YouTube. After I uploaded it, it had to finish processing, and it took over 4 weeks to process. And then I had given up on it. I didn't think it was ever going to finish processing, but I just left it there just in case. And eventually it showed that it was done processing, and then we could publish it.
Wow, that's got to be a record. Like, I can't imagine that YouTube, I mean, their engineers, hats off to them if they actually they don't have something that kills a process after 4 weeks, because that is like some crazy processing time for a single video.
They must have improved it though, because since then I haven't. The processing time isn't never that long. It still can be kind of a long time, like for that 4-day course. I think that took maybe like a day to process, which is still a long time, but nowhere near like the 4 weeks. So
yeah. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how you approach developing courses, because as I said, you've developed a lot of courses. We have a lot of organizations we work with, Microsoft, Google, and then of course lots of tech companies like MongoDB, New Relic, and they'll create grants for FreeCodeCamp, and the grant will be like, create a course around open telemetry, for example, and show how it works, or something like that. And then essentially your role is to take a look at the various tools and figure out, okay, what's like a full stack project we can build around this that will be compelling, that'll be interesting, and we can show people how to use these tools in addition to a whole bunch of other open source tools. So maybe you could talk about what your workflow is like. Like, let's say, for example, spoiler alert, we're going to be developing a course on this multiplayer server, like netcode, essentially. And that's going to be pretty exciting. But like, what will be your process for developing a game that makes use of netcode and things like that? And I guess from ideation to actual, outline development, the more detail you can go into, the better. Because I think a lot of people are probably very interested in how the video courses get made, because they don't just like drop out of the sky in like final form. There's a long iterative process involved.
Technology that I didn't. If there's any other videos out there, I'll watch videos that kind of explain it, and then just get as much knowledge of that technology as possible. And then sometimes there'll be an opportunity to actually ask questions to the team that creates that technology, and so to kind of really solidify my understanding. And then after that, I try to think of what an interesting project is going to be, because we want to teach the topic, but in an engaging way. So I want to kind of think what's going to be an interesting project that people are going to be maybe interested to create, even if they don't know about that technology, or they're not maybe. So you want to be able to have people coming to the video for two reasons. One, people that want to learn that technology, and two, maybe they just are interested in that project. So you get more interest in that. And then after I kind of develop the idea, I'll maybe brainstorm different things. Then I will, I guess maybe depending on the course, I may have to develop some code, some like the code for the project that I'm going to teach. And then sometimes, then I'll generally have to write a script, and the script they'll usually some sort of introduction. And a key part is having a good hook. You want, within the first 30 seconds or a minute, you want people to be interested in watching the rest of the course, where sometimes I'll actually do that. I'll have an idea for what I'm going to do for the hook and the introduction, but I'll do that at the end after I've maybe demonstrated how to create a project. Then I'll write the introduction and put a lot of time into how I'm going to hook people so they're actually interested in watching the whole thing. And the way I do courses, everyone kind of makes them different, but generally most of the course, I won't be on camera. I'll be demonstrating something through screen sharing, and I'll be just recording my voice. And then I'll generally have just certain sections where I'm on camera. So I'll use like the introduction, the conclusion, and then maybe a few transition points. So I'll write all that, and like what I'm going to do for that. Then I record it all, and then I just basically kind of combine it all together, edit out all my mistakes. Like anytime I'm sharing my screen and on a course, you can know that there's way more edits than it looks like, because I make so many mistakes when I'm creating it, but then I have to edit it so it looks like I knew what I was talking about on the first take. So it kind of can take a while to put it all together. I mean, also there's a few things I always think about, which is one, having good audio. And I mean, that's a super important thing for courses, is having good audio. And then One thing that's kind of surprising to people is that on the Free Code Camp channel, 1/3 of our viewers are watching on mobile devices, and even more than 1/3 are sometimes watching on very small screens, because we have viewers all over the world, and we have and so it's important for any of our courses, especially ones I'm making, is that any text or code on screen is big enough for people to be able to read if they're watching on a small device, because we want to make this accessible as possible to people all over the world. So those are all kind of my, I guess, some of the broad overview of what I think about when I'm creating a course.
Yeah, and you've created an entire guide. I just call it our YouTube style guide, essentially, how to create a good technical course. And I'm going to include that in the show notes. But what are some of the big mistakes that you've seen people make that you think are like the easiest things to correct? Easy wins where people can up their course creation game if they just remember a few key concepts. I mean, you definitely mentioned text size. You definitely mentioned the importance of quality sound. People will tolerate like okay-ish video, but if the audio is bad, then that is, a lot of people will just click off. YouTube is a very cutthroat, brutal place, environment for your video to live, because all along the side, you've got exciting, potentially like much more sensational than like learning how to use MongoDB or something like that. You've got content like that that can easily pull you and your attention away. And then also, like Reddit and Facebook and all these other websites are just an alt tab away, so people can go and do something completely different. And, people are, potentially watching and on a bus, or like, there's so many different kind of things that can jostle people out of watching your in-depth course. But I guess tips you have for engaging people and things that you've seen people do that you really learned a lot from, and things that you see people do often that you think are anti-patterns and are probably undermining their ability to find and retain viewership and learners.
Yeah, so I would say, I think I've maybe here are the 4 biggest things. I mean, the 2 of them would be the ones you already said. So audio quality is really big, is really important, and a lot of people don't put enough thought into that, because I'm seeing so many people are submitting courses to me for the Free CodeCamp channel, so I see all these different levels. So audio quality and text size are the 2 very big things to think about, and then just the importance of the introduction. I talked about that a little earlier, but some people just go right into kind of teaching without giving anybody a reason for why they should watch. So it's very important within the first 30 seconds to a minute to explain very clearly what the course is about, what the people are going to learn, why people should want to learn that content, and why people should learn that content from you. Because there's so many courses around so many different topics. So you want very quickly to explain why someone should watch that and why someone should watch it from you. And then, at least on the Free CodeCamp channel, we have viewers from, like I said, all over the world. A lot of viewers don't speak English as their first language. And so it makes it even more important to have speech that is very easy to understand. It could be like enunciation, pronunciation, audio quality. So like if you're a native English speaker, I think it's kind of easier to understand maybe lower quality audio. But if you are kind of speaking English as a second language, you're just learning English, it becomes even more important for that to be very easy to understand. So that can really make a big difference as well. So I think those are the kind of the 4 high level things that I would think about. But there's like I said, you mentioned the articles. There's plenty of other tips in the article if people want to learn more.
Yeah. Okay. Just to recap: high quality sound, large text, an introduction that establishes like why, the who, what, where, why, but essentially why people should stick around and invest the time in doing this course. And then 4th, just consideration for non-native English speakers. And on that note, you have been very active in mentoring Estefania, who has launched the Spanish YouTube channel, which is also quite popular. It's one of the more popular Spanish language YouTube channels now. And you've also been working very hard on trying to figure out ways to improve the quality of subtitles. We've asked for lots of features from YouTube, for example, when we talk to YouTube. And localization is a huge deal. What do you think the near future for localization is? Maybe you can talk a little bit about like what Mr. Beast has been doing, for example, and some of the other ways that people have been trying to make their content more accessible to the non-English speaking world.
Yeah, one of the relatively new features that YouTube rolled out was different language tracks. So we can upload, for instance, a Hindi language track or a Spanish language track. So it's our main video, but before you could already upload different subtitle tracks and you could change what language the subtitles are for, but now you can upload different language tracks in your videos. And so we have been experimenting with that, and at our scale, it's kind of prohibitive to actually have someone personally read dub the courses. So we've been looking into various ways to use AI tools and other things to create these dubbed voices. And I think eventually YouTube is just going to offer that automatically. Like right now, you have to upload a different dub track, but my guess is in the near future, YouTube will have live dubbing in other languages right on the channel.
Yeah, and that will be amazing because whenever we the Spanish channel, everything is done by Spanish-speaking creators, and that is like the very top level of experience is when you actually have a teacher who speaks your language, who understands. Not that like Spanish is a monoculture; it's a whole bunch of different countries, but can make like cultural references and explain things in a way that like an AI generated like translation of a script won't necessarily capture that nuance. So like we're going to continue to create video courses in other world languages even after such technology exists. But it's very exciting just because freeCodeCamp has more than 1,000 full-length courses on, most programming topics. Like we have a course on COBOL, right? We have courses on all the newest stuff, like pretty much any new technology, Mojo course, for example. So you can imagine like Wikipedia, about half the traffic to Wikipedia goes to the English edition. Half the traffic goes to the other world languages. So it's like essentially doubling the amount of impact our charity can have in terms of our mission, which is helping people learn to code for free. So here's hoping that YouTube rolls those features out. And in the meantime, we'll continue experimenting with them. If we can economically do something to add dubbing, or certainly if we can add new captions, in different languages, we're going to do that. Right now, you can watch freeCodeCamp in any world language you want with the auto translation, but YouTube's interface makes it like 4 or 5 clicks to be able to access that. And I was just helping somebody understand that the other day, and it's still 4 or 5 clicks. I think you have to click subtitles, then you have to click English, and then you click the gear again, the setting again, and then you go auto translate, and then you choose your language. So it's like 4 or 5 clicks to be able to get captions, but you can do that, and I do that all the time because I watch a lot of videos that are not in English, like documentaries and things like that, and I'll go and get the auto translated. English is kind of like a first class language in the sense that I think it's fewer clicks for an English speaker, just because it is kind of like a major world language. But that's been an incredibly powerful feature, and translation just gets better and better all the time. I study a lot of languages, and I'm just blown away. I'll take this and I'll show it to like my wife, who's a native Chinese speaker. I'll talk to my native Spanish speaking friends, and I'll be like, "Does this look like natural?" And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's very natural. Where did you get that?" And I'll be like, "GPT came up with it," So it's really impressive how powerful these tools are getting. And freeCodeCamp, I'll say it like on both of our behalf, we are applying the latest and greatest tools as quickly as we can where they're ready for prime time. There are lots of experimental tools that are frankly not ready for prime time, and you won't see us generally use those. But mature tools that do work, we are going to adopt them. So what are your, I guess your biggest, what are you most excited about with the main English freeCodeCamp YouTube channel?
Well, yeah, well, first of all, I'm excited that we're getting a little closer to 10 million subscribers. So that will be like a huge milestone that I think maybe in the next year or so we'll get to. Because when I started working with freeCodeCamp, we had 75,000 subscribers. So some people think I just started the channel because they see me so much, but I didn't start the channel. That was Quincy, but I joined when there was 75,000 subscribers, and now we're getting close to 10 million. So that's been pretty exciting. But I guess as far as other excitement, I'm just excited to basically continue what we've been doing to post more courses, and like what a lot of my excitement is around what you were just talking about, which is making our courses more accessible to more people in the world through better subtitles, better dubbing, and just continuing to experiment with, I guess, different formats. And I just hope that we can continue to be kind of the premier place where people are watching software tutorials. And we also want to kind of continue to publish more and more very massive comprehensive courses to the point where people don't need to even go to Udemy or some of these other places, because they know they can just go to the freeCodeCamp YouTube channel and they'll be able to find a high quality course in whatever they're trying to learn.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the things that I'm really excited about the YouTube channel is that we are publishing full-length university courses created by freeCodeCamp.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, of course, Beau, you were able to go to Western Governors University, excellent accredited university. It's online, very economical. There's some other, what I call ultra low-cost universities out there here in the United States. But our goal is to eventually have a free computer science degree program, like a bachelor in computer science and an associate in mathematics. And we're going to be publishing the lectures from those on YouTube. In fact, we already have the lectures from one of the first mathematics courses up there, and we're going to get the lectures from the second one up hopefully within the next month or two. And then we have a total of 40 full-length university courses that we're going to publish on freeCodeCamp's YouTube channel. So that's something I'm really pumped about that I'll just add on top of what you were saying.
And I'm excited about that too. There's so many things to be excited about. So,
well, I want to talk a little bit more about you personally, because you're an interesting dude. Objectively, I guess subjectively, because I can't speak objectively. But from where I'm standing, you're very interesting. One of the things that strikes me is the parallels between you and Richard Feynman, of course, the famous, I think it was Caltech mathematics and physics professor. One of the greatest teachers to ever live that we know about. There could be incredible teachers in human prehistory and antiquity that are lost to time, but he was definitely one of the greatest teachers of the 20th century. And he was a very I don't mean to say this in a pejorative way, but he was kind of an eccentric dude. He loved going really deep and learning magic tricks and unicycle and all this stuff. And you are somebody who literally owns stiltwalking.com or something. What's the website that you have?
Yes, stiltwalker.net.
Stiltwalker.net, where you can hire
I haven't
Beau
done
Carnes.
anything with it for a while, though.
You can hire Beau Carnes to be a stiltwalker at your carnival or your state fair, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I used to do it a lot more. I haven't been doing it as much lately, but I still sometimes do it where I walk on stilts. I juggle clubs, so I'll be on the stilts juggling clubs, and I'll go to different events. And I've done a lot of parades. I've done a lot of different fairs and festivities. So I don't do it quite as much as I used to, but I'm still getting out there sometimes. And I'm trying to pass off some of it to my kids, because another thing I used to do a lot was magic shows. And so my son, my oldest son, has been this will be his this year will be his 4th year in a row doing a magic show at his school talent show. So I've been kind of passing off some of my knowledge to him, and helping him prepare to perform, to do these magic performances. So yeah, there was a while where I was actually booking a lot, like tons of paid gigs, and now I mainly just do it kind of for fun at different events. But there was a period of my life where I was booking paid gigs, like for stilt walking and magic shows, like all over the state of Michigan. So
that is really cool. Yeah, definitely. If we ever have like a really like freeCodeCamp's a small charity, we don't have a lot of resources. We don't have like big in-person conferences or anything. It's not like Dreamforce that takes over half of San Francisco that Salesforce has every year. We would never have the budget for something like that. But if we do ever have like an event like an Apple keynote type thing, we absolutely have got to get you on stilts at that event.
okay,
That would be so cool.
I'm in.
Yeah. Well, Beau, I really appreciate everything you're doing for the freeCodeCamp community. I'm proud, of course, to have you on the freeCodeCamp team, working alongside me and Estefania and all these other teachers / software engineers. Many of whom have classroom teaching experience, like you have 5+ years of special ed teaching and robotics club and things like that. And we're just like thrilled to have you here. It's a huge point of pride that we can say like, yeah, we have people like Beau Carnes working at freeCodeCamp. So I just want to publicly acknowledge that like I'm over the moon at everything you're doing, and I want to thank you again.
Well, I really appreciate it. I respect you so much. So just hearing all that coming from you is really meaningful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to encourage everybody to check out some of Beau's writing, which I've included in the show notes. His story of how he got his second degree, his computer science software development degree from Western Governors University while he was raising 2 kids, while he was working as a teacher. And check out Beau's personal website, which has some cool, quirky stuff on it. And of course, if you are a creator and you want to create courses, or if you're just a teacher, you're teaching at a community college, a university, wherever, high school level, and you just want to help share your passion and your wisdom that you've developed around math, programming, technology, reach out to Beau and read his style guide. It will teach you everything he's learned over the course of many years being on YouTube and creating tutorials. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Signing off, everybody. Till next week, happy coding.
Bye, everybody.